This is the first Disney movie that has anthropomorphic weapons of war. It's the first Disney movie that has literal blood sucking, and it's the first Disney movie that has a direct reference to multiple personality disorder.
Ask about Illuminati, since the chart in the upbeat ducks. Is it Disney mind control? Is this MK Ultra Deluxe? Occult Disney, we go from real to real. Occult Disney, Bohemian Grove and no more real. Occult Disney, ask about Illuminati. Occult Disney, we teach occult to everybody. Occult Disney, the wish upon a star. Occult Disney, you know not to travel far. Oh, Occult Disney, the new brand Pinocchio. Yeah, yeah. Occult Disney, it's a boss overload. Occult Disney, please enjoy the show.
Hello, welcome to the Occult Disney Codcast. The Codcast, yeah, where we got cod pieces for Disney. The Occult Disney Podcast, where we look into all of the animated theatrical releases and more of the Walt Disney Corporation. I'm just stressing the corporation today because we're looking at planes and planes, fire, and rescue, which just sounds like things that came out of a board meeting. This is Matt here. It's Paranoid American over there. Am I getting too snarky too quickly?
No, and I don't think it was as much of a board meeting as like a military operation.
Okay,
Which
we can
starts
get
in a boardroom, kind of, but it's military people.
military people. What, like we're Top Gunning it a bit, or what?
I mean, this is clearly the first Disney movie that I can think of that has, and this is not me being snarky. This is all literal. This is not hyperbole. Anthropomorphic weapons of war, right? I can't think of a single other Disney movie, even if you go live action, include all of them. I can't think of a single one when they took a literal weapon of war that's used to hurt, like kill people and break their things. Those are the two missions of the military, and then give it like a little smile and have it do a little dance.
Yeah, that's interesting because why don't we just start saying cars now? Because obviously this is like the weird, like, you know, like what do they call it back in the ditto machines, right? Where the teacher in the 80s or the 50s or whatever would go, and it would be the purple ink ditto machine before they had proper copiers. I feel like planes is the ditto machine of cars.
This is before I know what you're talking about because I went down a rabbit hole of people that are addicted to ditto ink. And get like high off ditto ink, and they order it by the ream, I guess, and they like Jones for it. And it's but that's before my time. Maybe that 2 or 3 years makes all the difference in that reference.
And then I'm thinking it might have been first, second, third grade, I don't love ditto ink, but I can see where somebody might get a weird fascination for that. Yeah, if you have certain.
That's what it's called, ditto ink. When you start.
He's up in ditto ink again. Anyway, yeah, I kind of felt like planes is that, and yeah, I was actually thinking as you're saying that. I guess we haven't had weapons of war, have we? Because I did think of Valiant, one not made by Disney, only distributed by Disney. And those
right,
were,
but
pigeons.
In that case, they took an animal and turned it into a weapon of war. But in this case, they're taking a literal like a fighter jet with missiles on it, but they just don't show you the missile part. Or like the guns, but we're taking actual
we're just flying in a war,
and turning it into like a fun character that you can put on a T-shirt and turn into a toy.
Yeah, because we had Paul Newman voicing the grizzled old car in Cars, but he had just been a racer, which is a very different thing than flying, missions.
Like, I guess, like for example, these are some of the first Disney characters that, as it's like these fighter jets are flying through the air. And I'm just thinking like one of those guys has got body count, and I'm talking like triple digit body count, right? And that's not something common for a Disney good guy.
So do you think they take a bit of the air out of it by having him be like, oh, he only flew one mission. Like, it's not like he did, like, like, it's not Catch 22 where he's on mission
I'm not
300.
even talking about the old mentor character at this point. I mean, even in the very beginning, as the credits roll, it basically has Dusty in his mind, but he's got these fighter jets that he's like flying with, and he's outmaneuvering them, and he's gonna like beat these fighter jets, right? Those fighter jets themselves are also weapons of war that probably have a higher body count than our old man mentor does.
Yeah, I guess that's an inherent problem in making a film, because with cars, it's very easy to have, except for vehicular homicide, the cars don't suggest any particular violence, right? Planes, if you do the planes that don't suggest violence, you're stuck with what? Cessna's, passenger jets, and helicopters? Only some helicopters, obviously not a Apache. Rescue copters. Well, which they do get into in the second movie. The second movie, Fire and Rescue, does seem to go a little bit like, oh, maybe we need to focus on planes that are more helpful.
Well, so I guess we should just cover both movies combined, like Planes 1 and 2.
My plan, yeah.
so Planes 1, it kind of introduces this military aspect, and I think it's for like veterans or infantile, maybe like new recruits. I'll just say new recruits, but it's kind of made for that audience. And then Planes 2, it's literally a movie for your grandparents to take you to. Like all of the jokes, all the references, everything in Planes 2 is about old retirees and their old retiree jokes. So I really do. And when we were talking before we started recording, you were like, yeah, I think I probably fell asleep in Planes 2 a couple times. I couldn't remember if I finished it because it's the grandparent movie. And I swear, if you rewatch Planes 2 and just know that this is a movie that was made for grandparents to bring their grandkids to, the whole movie makes sense. And the pacing makes sense. And all the characters make sense. Like everything fits directly into place. And then Planes 1, I think it's almost like baby's first exposure to the military industrial entertainment complex. That's kind of what Planes 1 is.
Yeah, we should note, as we do a little production, both of these are theatrical. The second one, you said the grandparents are taking their kids to it, but I guess I thought it had a limited release, but actually it had a release that seems quite profitable. So yes, the grandparents were taking their kids to this. It made 3 times its money. Budget of $50 million, box office of 147. The first one, only a year earlier, such a quick turnaround, was a bigger deal. 50 million, 240 million budget, profit, excuse me. Box office. I can't talk today, as we know.
I feel that's because they're flying off the success of Cars still. So people go to Planes 1 expecting, Cars. And I wonder how many people actually went into that and were like, okay, that's exactly what I was hoping for. I don't know. For me, it was a little flat, but I can, because it also seems to be so very, very on point with the terminology. They went overboard in how accurate they were and all the phrases that they were using and the actual maneuvers. Like they made it more real to life than they needed to. And part of me was like, this is indoctrinating the next generation of kids to just inherently know how to fly, maybe. Like this is the first tiny little step towards that new trajectory. The same way that, digital natives are expected to just know how to use technology out of the womb. So this is a version of Disney working with the military. Like, hey, we need to get 8-year-olds in planes ASAP. We need to put them inside of Ava suits.
Yeah, well, let's draw the line to Disney several years later where, hey, Spider-Man's back. Disney has him now. By the way, he's now military industrial complex Tony Stark's boy toy and runs around in a, military industrial costume with lots of chevrons and weird tech in it. That's Spider-Man now, isn't it?
It is. It's a new generation Spider-Man. And to be honest, that if you were paying attention to the actual comics, at this point, the difference between 2020 and a Spider-Man in like 1980 or 1990, if you took that same span of time and compared it to like the next generation Spider-Man, like after 2099 and all of the other iterations came out, this is exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about like the alternate universe Spider-Man, where we've got Miles Morales and a whole bunch. Like this is Spider-Man now, like the one that you're thinking of, like the Tobey Maguire 90. Yeah,
I'm
it's
thinking
like
of this one, aren't I? Where he's fighting the
Grandpa's
Abomination.
Spider-Man now. This isn't even that's not even Dad's Spider-Man. That's Grandpa's Spider-Man.
Just while we're on the, what we got? Yeah, 2000s getting a little weirder, right? And looking a little more sleek. I just picked up some comics while I was back in the States, and just to brag a little bit, here's the real winners I found. I found this 60s one with Iron Man still in gold. Fantastic Four 50 and 20.
Can you not find Western comics easily anywhere in Japan? Is that like a rarity?
Oh, like this? Like vintage ones? No, not at all. And if I do find like a compendium or something of X-Men or Avengers or whatever, it's probably in Japanese. So I think we
all
also
the more reason to come back more often.
Yeah, there we go. Gave away some kind. Still have boxes though. The good stuff's still in the boxes. So that's there.
I hope you still got your Death of Superman in the enclosed plastic and everything.
I did find one.
Here's
one not in the enclosed plastic. Sorry, it's just funny. I have all these things. X-Force is still in the enclosed plastic, and when I was 12 years old, I bought like 5 copies. So I gave my daughter 4 and said, "Give this to your friends as Omiyage." And apparently, she gave a boy she has a crush on a sealed copy of X-Force 1. I don't know how that turned out, but
oh wow, you can't just let her be giving those away every time she meets some guy. That was like Liefeld's peak too, right? That's like Rob Liefeld pocket era.
That's depressing if that was his peak.
I'm not against it, man. I like pockets. I like cargos.
Nah. I always thought he looked more like a poor man's McFarlane, you know?
Ouch.
With weird proportion stuff.
I don't know, man. I feel like he has his own lane, because when you see a Liefeld drawing, you kind of know that it's a Liefeld drawing. You might not like it as much as someone else's, but it has a very specific look to it, which in itself is a huge feat as an artist.
Yeah. I guess I was just thinking of the big. I was about to start talking about other guys. I was thinking about the big comics drain of the early '90s, where all the good artists went and did Image or that other one, right? And then all the Marvel and DC's turned into garbage.
Someone to Valiant. There was like a few different ones that popped in and out. But this was also, speaking of Spider-Man, this is probably my favorite era Spider-Man was Jim Lee and like McFarlane teaming up and getting the whole backstory. There was like a whole crossover with Spider-Man and Juggernaut and X-Force, and it was probably one of the better Spider-Man runs ever.
But I guess I'll move us back into the planes, which I thought was direct-to-video until like, a month ago when we planned to do it, because both of them were theatrical releases. Even when we started this podcast, I had to go check again. I was like, well, the second one, did that really show in theaters? And I was like, oh, it actually made a lot of money. So it is weird. These are not Pixar, by the way. They are one of the reasons I probably thought they were direct to video is they're Disney Toons, which was the old imprint for direct to video, or maybe that's the newer imprint, I guess, because that's the one they do now. But John Lasseter was still involved as executive producer, and he liked this because I guess he just liked playing with toys and playing with cars and planes. It feels like kind of playing with toys, yeah.
This one is infinitely more juvenile than Cars, I think, too. Like even the level of humor, Dusty is a crop duster and he literally makes fart noises when he drives by certain times. So like this is kind of the level of dialogue that we've got. It really does feel like this one is made a little bit more for toddlers and like younger
grandparents.
Grandparents and toddlers, yeah.
The undeveloped and the senile will enjoy these movies.
Truly, I think there's something about it. Like grandma might like unlock a new memory if you take her out to watch one of these movies or something.
And I guess it's like the EPK I'm thinking of reading here, but yeah, it has Lasseter like, we didn't want to just copy Cars and have planes be like Cars again, but with planes. Like, yeah, so you did Cars 2 with planes. That's the first movie. Even you're bringing up all the military stuff that had all the military industrial complex stuff in it too, with all the spy stuff, right?
It did, although in that one, like all of those feel like they were retrofitted to be turned into weapons of war, and that's what makes this one so unique in my mind. Like this one's gonna stand out. That Planes One is the big Disney movie where the military industrial complex and Disney finally just like got a room and made a baby.
And that baby was Planes, Fire, and Rescue, I guess, and Spider-Man.
Well, both of them. Yeah, both of them.
Yeah. Well, here we go. What movie do you prefer, Planes or Cars 2?
Oh, Cars 2, for sure.
Okay. Because I do feel like Cars 2 is the bottom of the Pixar pile so far, at least. I haven't seen some of the more modern ones, but
I don't know. I didn't hate Cars 2. It's not in my top 10 or anything. Planes, I wasn't. I think I might even like Planes 2 better than Planes 1. Just
that actually seems
visuals.
That seems to be critical consensus too. Maybe though it's those granddaddy jokes or grandmommy jokes, or I should keep in both of them.
All the grandparents went and they rated it 10 on IMDb because that's the only website that they probably know that's hip with the kids. But I think objectively, Planes 2 has better graphics. There's lots of like fire and explosions and action and things happening, even though it's paced really slow, like a grandparent movie would be.
Maybe that's why I had so much trouble getting through it. It's not even that long. How long is the second one? 84 minutes with a fair amount of credits. So
yeah, and the Planes 1 was only an hour and a half with the credits.
No, I did like that. So yeah, it's also just amazing. I guess they were like, I guess Cars was untenable because too many voice actors you have to rehire. I mean, I guess how much does Larry the Cable Guy cost? He can't cost that much, can he?
In 2025, I don't think
maybe
much.
Okay, maybe in 2014, after doing 2 Cars movies, his salary had gone up a bit. 2013, whatever it was. Yeah, but it is kind of B team too. So we had Owen Wilson in Cars. Our lead here is Dane Cook. Ouch. We had Paul Newman. Now we have Stacy Keach. Love Stacy Keach, but that is a drop off in, like, I guess, star power for sure. Terry Hatcher's here. I mean, I like Terry Hatcher, but Julia Louis-Dreyfus was here. Oh, John Cleese, of course. Sinbad was in here. I didn't catch Sinbad. Too bad. Val Kilmer.
All of these seem like they're upstaging Dane Cook by a large margin.
Not in 2013, though, right? Because that's probably when Dane Cook was at his peak.
Unfortunately, when no one lived through those times, they were rough.
Yeah. In those times, I guess Dane Cook does go on the top of that pile, but which is a bummer. I don't know. Terry Hatcher had just done what was she on? Desperate Housewives or something?
But also earlier on, she was on Lois and Clark, I believe.
Yes, she was. I was trying to think like 2013 vintage, like why she seems like she should be above Dane Cook. I don't know what she was, but she was just a forklift. You can't give the forklift the top, rating or whatever.
She was just a forklift. That's kind of funny.
Just a forklift. Now, you were thinking military industrial. I was thinking a lot about the weird class caste system in the Cars universe. Because just lots of weird things. Like when they have the first plane race, I noticed that the audience was 90% cars and 10% planes. I thought that was kind of weird and interesting. The planes being kind of isolated at certain points. I was like, oh, are they living in like the Faroe Islands of the Cars verse or something, But it does seem like planes is like this. They're not like a pocket civilization, but just intrinsically they function different. It's like if we still had Neanderthals around, like there'd be a weird divide possibly.
Or Mormons.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I haven't been to Utah, so I don't know, but
I feel like if you just look at them like Mormons, and that it makes a little more sense because, like you're saying, planes are a minority of the population because so many cars versus only a few planes. So you're kind of seeing some. I guess I didn't pick up on that when I was watching it. Like, man, does this world have more cars than planes? Does that mean planes are isolated? I guess it is.
The second one, by the way, doesn't have that because they're out in the forest, right? I started thinking more about Jack Kerouac's Desolation Angels for some reason, which starts with him in a fire tower in the Washington forest. But
when they get out into the forest too, I don't know if they specifically have like ATVs that are sentient, but you get that impression that essentially every single vehicle has some level of sentience to it in this planes universe. So I just wonder how far down the chain that goes. Is like a lawnmower sentient? Is like a tiny little pool pump motor sentient? Like at what point do you graduate and get to become like a full Rosicrucian spiritual body?
Well, if you remember in Cars, it wasn't the tractors were like cows, like they weren't sentient.
I get it was that if you could see inside the car, then it wasn't sentient, and if you could like if it was opaque, then that means that there's an actual spirit inhabiting that car. I think that was roughly the rules that we started coming up with.
Well, that doesn't work for planes because I feel like a biplane, an old school biplane, should still be sentient in the plane's sphere, right? But
Maybe,
by
I mean,
that logic, you can see through it, so it wouldn't be sentient.
it could just be like a really convincing mechanical Turk or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, it's an automaton of some kind. Yeah.
I don't know. We're still working out the actual logic here. I don't know if Disney even had this planned in.
Of course I didn't. I just feel like with cars and planes, that's the most fun stuff to think about. Is there like the weird, gushy form of a human somewhere deep in that car or that plane? I mean, we like thinking about that. I'm pretty sure that wasn't part of the script.
And it shows these buildings with cars like the airport, and there's cars driving around inside the airport. And I mean, thematically, then that means the cars are going through the gate and going down the little walk ramp or the drive ramp and then driving onto the plane. And then like the plane itself can go inside of another plane and then it can land on a battle cruiser. Right. So there's this weird nesting doll that you don't have to worry about with humans. And now all of a sudden in the planes and cars universe, you do have to think about like, oh, Tom is inside of Matt and Matt's inside of like this other, and like that would just be a normal part of life, I guess. It wouldn't
Nothing
sound
wrong
that
with
weird.
a human vehicular centipede. There we go.
Well, maybe not exactly like a centipede, but
yeah, then you'd have to weld tailpipes to car mouths.
Okay. Whenever this gets open sourced, right? Whenever this becomes royal public domain in like 70 years.
Yeah, someone wants to bother with that. I guess we're kind of skipping around both movies just while we're talking about the logistics. Something that really caught my eye was, well, first we in the second movie we get the bar, which is like a hangar, but then we go to that lodge, like the honeymoon lodge or whatever, which is just massive. I'm like, you cannot build that in the mountains. It's like 4 football fields or something because the lodge has to be able to accommodate all these cars and planes, right? So it has to be you have to have bigger spaces now that you have planes. Because in the movie Cars, we had like the lodge was like those giant traffic cones that were hotel rooms, novelty hotel rooms. So they didn't have to go too far in Cars. But now that we're in planes, a plane takes up space, So the spaces no longer make sense. And they can't be shared. You would have to have buildings dedicated just for planes and then buildings dedicated for cars. So a lot of this breaks down. And fun fact, maybe just a little bit tangential, but like the whole honeymoon suite with the heart-shaped bed and like the whole 9 yard kind of thing, that's actually based on a real hotel from the Pocono Mountains. So like it actually started in an American thematic place that I don't know if this was supposed to be a direct reference to it, but there's one there. I've heard that hotel has a champagne flute bath.
Yeah.
That said, in Japan, we get the love hotels. We have all sorts of insane hotels you can go to with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, Japan wins. We don't have to discuss that.
There's 10, not 10. There's about 3 within 10-minute, 15-minute walking distance of here. The closest one is called Hotel Moore. So they often have pretty funny names. And
good.
And in my 20s, when I was in my 20s, I was hanging in Tokyo with girlfriend or whatever, and you could stay at a business hotel, or you could stay at the Love Hotel, which has insane theming for the same price, maybe even slightly less. The one catch there is I think once you go in, you basically have to stay until you leave. You're like prisoner to the room. Once you leave the room, you no longer have the room.
And also that smell and that like sticky feeling on the bottom. No,
they clean it. They clean it up in Japan. They did. That was the I mean, you go like I guess there's some that look older. That might have the problem, but you go to one that's relatively well kept looking. It's Japan. It's well kept. They change.
I'm sure better than the honeymoon suite in the Poconos.
Now, I do know my class trip to New York City in the 9th grade, we got to the hotel room near Times Square and the bed was wet and we were like, what is this, a honeymoon suite? And then they changed it for us. But you don't want to come in a room and get a wet bed. What's up with that? I guess probably they had washed the sheets and not dried them correctly is what actually happened. Now that I'm thinking
or
about
somebody peed on them. I mean, it is New York.
Or somebody peed on them. It was New York, yes. And it was pre-Disneyfied Times Square because I remember the class president went out to buy a fake ID and got mugged.
Okay. So here's another fun fact from the Planes 1 movie. And this is why I think it was made for military vets specifically and pilots, because they talk about there's a reference to zip juice and go-go punch, and that it's like somebody gets disqualified from the initial race that they're in. And this is where Dusty is able to jump right back into the finals. Almost the same plot line as Monsters University a little bit, right? Like the underdog almost makes it to the finals, but then doesn't, and then someone gets disqualified and they get bumped back into 3rd place, and now they're able to participate again. In this case, it was in the 6th place. So Zip Juice and Go-Go Punch are actual references to drugs that pilots actually take. So there's something called go drugs and no-go drugs. And I'm trying. I don't know if I have all of the notes on this. I'm trying to remember some of them off the top of my head. But like a go drug is something like a Provigil. Up until very recently, methamphetamine, like Walter White methamphetamine, they didn't smoke out of a pipe. They could actually like either take it intravenously or they had other ways of taking it. But methamphetamine was had an actual practical use by military pilots when they had to stay up or had to be like alert and awake. They could get like waivers that allowed them to take very specific drugs. And then there's no-go drugs, and these ones include like Ambien and a few others that help you go to sleep, so that if you just came off of a long mission and you need to be able to get rest so that you're rested up for the next one, these are these acceptable times in the military that you're allowed to take drugs that other people are not allowed to take unless you've got like some specific waiver. So down a rabbit hole, the reason why military is, as of like I think 10 years ago, is not allowed to take methamphetamine anymore is because someone had taken a little bit too much methamphetamine. They're in the air. There was a practice drill being run by Canada, and when they flew by, they misinterpreted, because they were methed out, they misinterpreted this military exercise as an actual military conflict, and they basically fired on these Canadian allies and killed a whole bunch of people. So after that happened, the military is like, okay, maybe no more meth, but they still take go-go drugs.
No, but I did get an image. I mean, you mentioned they do it intravenously or whatever, but I did just get this image of like, because I've just been at an airport, and watching the pilot walking by and crew walking
doing
by.
Meth.
With a crack pipe, as they're coming.
That's normal. Especially
no stumble in their step as they're smoking crack and walking down the the concourse. Yeah.
So I mean, in my mind, as I'm watching this with that context, and they're specifically calling it Zip Juice and Go-Go Punch, which, I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into it. I feel like this is the most obvious reference to they're talking about go-go drugs and no-go drugs. It's called Go-Go Punch. So this is a Disney reference to pilots doing methamphetamine too.
No, I was sitting here. This is just alcohol, but it might have been the same year, Flight with Denzel Washington, where he's the drunk pilot or whatever. So something was in the air at that point. Pun depressing.
It was at least 10 years after 9/11 too, right? So you're allowed to start having fun with planes again.
Yeah, because a few years after this, it's back to the pre-mentioned Sully, right, with Tom Hanks crashing his plane in the Hudson or whatever. But yeah, there was something about, I guess, playing with all these movies at that point, just kind of like, hey, pilots doing some skag here,
What else? There's another one where you realize that the whole plot of this movie essentially turns into an all around the world kind of race, that this is the premise is that anyone can be top class pilot, top class anything. Like you can be president, Matt, if you really put your heart to it.
President
Even you
Matt.
can be president, right? President Matt. And that's kind of like the feel here. But as this starts to unfold, I'm like, oh, this is a around the world in 80 days kind of mechanic. My mind went right to the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie from I think the 80s, which is I think one of the better that and Rat Race. But I think and what's like it's a mad world or whatever that one is.
Oh, right. And again, Cars too kind of does it, right? So it's in franchise. It's been done recently. Although here we are getting what is this first one? PlayStation 3 animation. It's not Pixar level, is it? So
yeah, I can see that. Maybe PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4. That's kind of an interesting metric is that when you watch a movie that's 10, 15 years old, you can actually see like, oh, this is to the level of current video games. So as you're watching this movie, and what year did these come out? 2014?
2013 and 2014.
So 2013, 2014, you're watching this like, man, I can't wait till video games are like this. We're kind of at that now, right? Like these are like sub PlayStation 5 graphics essentially.
Yeah, and Fire and Rescue did look notably better, as you mentioned. I think maybe all that forest stuff kind of helped. So it seemed a little less blocky. It seemed to have more detail in Fire and Rescue. They might have added more detail in Fire and Rescue, so at least it looked better. So as Grandma sleeps through the movie, she's missing better.
As everybody sleeps through the movie, but the grandkids sitting there clapping because there's fire and explosions like every 15, 20 minutes.
I'm checking. Yeah, nothing really seems to mention an upgrade in the animation between the two. And it is Disney Toons, so it is Disney Toons. Man, it sounds so spiteful when I say that. I think Lilo and Stitch was technically Disney Toons, so
I don't have any built-in bias for any of this.
Yeah, let's not crap on them completely. But the point is, I don't think it's quite as well documented or as, say, a Cars movie would be, because that's Pixar Prime or whatever. So
I was rolling my eyes so hard when the most predictable, like as soon as the movie started out, Planes 1, as soon as it started out, I think I was already saying to myself, please don't let the main character be afraid of heights. That would be the dumbest thing ever. It's the most like predictable, stupid thing you could possibly do. And of course, the main character is afraid of heights. Like that's kind of like this whole thing that he has to work through. So his hero's journey is one of the most infantile in the entire Disney catalog. Like I think objectively, that is one good point that you can almost admit, even pro or without bias.
Yeah, I did. When that came up, I wrote, I wonder how many birds are afraid of heights, I mean, some birds probably, maybe, I don't know. And I think that you said infantile. I think they made children's books about that. So sure.
Also, I think somebody calls Dusty a flat hatter at one point, and it's used in like this derogatory kind of way. And I went down a rabbit hole of like, what the hell is a flat hatter? And I found an old, I want to say it was like a 1930s or 1940s cartoon that was, I think, shown in military pilot school, and it was describing what a flat hatter is. So a flat hatter, it's not like an actual title. It's kind of like a nickname that you would give someone that flies recklessly low and carelessly to show off. And that behavior, flying low and flying careless, is called being a flat hatter. And apparently the name Flat Hatter came from an incident where a pilot's low flight crushed a pedestrian's hat, and so they started calling it being a flat hatter. But this is the level of deep, specific, like pilot accurate references that are all over this movie. Like the entire movie, they spent more time into making sure they had all these inside pilot references than maybe they did making sure they had like a coherent plot.
Just out of curiosity, that Flat Hatter reference, do you have any idea what year that would have been around, or what decade?
I want to say it was like 30s or so.
Okay, because you're explaining the first thing that comes to mind is the sequence from North by Northwest where
the video was a naval training film called Flat Hatting, and it was from 1946.
Okay, because I'm thinking of what 1956, 57, North by Northwest, Cary Grant getting chased by a crop duster. So
Was he
doesn't work
farting
out.
in the sky as he went by?
Yeah, he's farting in the sky, of course. That's
And let me just say this too before I forget, but the reference to Dusty being a crop duster, man, we are within inches of the first Disney chemtrails movie. If he had just put chemicals, cloud seeding on his wings instead of putting chemicals for pesticide, this would be a chemtrails movie and it would be infinitely cooler.
Now, Dusty, this is called cesium, and the one quote I did write down, I don't even remember the context. It must have been the hippie plane or something. Star Child, you'll be
What's all
flying
this
through my
powdered
mind.
aluminum for, Dusty?
Or maybe that's a romantic line. You'll be flying through my mind. I like that. I'm gonna use that somewhere. Something I did think about where maybe they were not going hardcore in the plane stuff. Are we racing jets against propeller planes?
Yeah, I think it's again, it's just showing like children that everyone can be president, which isn't true, but I think that's the premise, is that because there's just no reality on this planet in which this crop dusting plane is outfitted to keep up in even like the top 600, let alone the top 6.
Yeah, any jet is ahead, right? And then he's flying through the Himalayas. I'm like, can a prop plane make it through the Himalayas? I'm not so sure about that. I could be wrong. Not with that attitude. Yeah. But and then what? He finds Shangri-La and leaves.
So speaking of that, this is maybe, I don't know if I would say this is a pro-China movie, but it's definitely a pro-globalist Disney movie. This one feels like no individual country owns this movie. And it was kind of like, it was a Captain Planet approach. Like everyone gets representation here.
I keep bringing up Cars 2. Do you think that I was doing that as well? Or is there a difference?
Maybe, but Cars 2, it was still playing into this dominance of like British aristocracy and American. Like America and Britain were still running the show in Cars 1 and Cars 2. And a lot of like the European cars, but in this movie in particular, it really is like all across the board. Like every country has equal footing, and that there's no one that's necessarily in front of or behind the others. And in fact, maybe it's Britain's hubris that takes them out in this movie.
Or it could be the planes kind of live above it all, right? They're again, pun depressing, but it's it's 10% of all the vehicles. They can literally get away from everyone very quickly if they have the fuel, right? So they could be kind of the superheroes of they are kind of superheroes of this Cars verse. They can fly,
I guess, but still
they can shoot. Cars can't shoot.
Well, yeah, they can drop a bomb on you, so maybe they should be a hero
or a supervillain. But yeah, but they are like exceptional in the Cars universe because cars cannot do the things that the planes can do.
So here's another first, I think. And it doesn't sound right. So correct me if you can think of another instance, but we've got chupacabras that show up in this movie, but they're like, like a Cars verse version of a chupacabra, and they siphon fuel. So is this the first Disney reference to like blood sucking?
Oh, you're going to have to give me a second on that. Who else sucks blood?
In animated movies, if we stick it to animated movies, have we seen like a vampire at any point? Of anyone consuming the blood of a good guy, a bad guy consuming the blood of a good guy anywhere in recent Disney movies?
Did Princess and the Frog have any of that by chance? Maybe not. It had the voodoo stuff, right? So,
does anyone drink blood in any Disney animated movie?
We'll have to go check Black Cauldron again, but
I can't think of any. I'm sure that there might have been like a drop of blood in a potion or something at some point, but this one is, I mean, chupacabras, although they're like attacking like a goat or something, so I think they attack like a cow or a tractor, which was like kind of like perfectly on brand for the chupacabra reference that's in this.
Yeah, and here aren't they like threatening, like you're going to get recycled as a tractor? Oh no, that sounds terrible. Of course, in the next movie, we're supposed to enjoy these forklifts. That's pretty much the same thing, right? There was also, I think, the Cars 2 movie. It was supposed to be like a Cars verse, but it was supposed to be like a Cars verse. But maybe the planes kind of live above it all, right? They can shoot. Or it could be the superheroes of this movie. So there was also
a German character with multiple personalities. So here we've got, I can't think if has there been an outwardly multiple personality character in Disney movies?
Well, we're going to get to Inside Out, which is going to do it in a weird way.
Yeah,
soon.
but that comes after this, right?
It comes after this, yes. Multiple personalities.
And I don't count Sword in the Stone because it's the same characters, like the final boss fight. They're staying in character and they're just changing forms. But I mean, like actually changing complete personalities, almost at random or maybe even by will. And that's what Franz, who's this, and it makes sense because he's an aero car, which is like half car, half airplane, which is a real thing that actually did exist. Although it was an American invention, not a German invention. So the fact that they make him German and make the car look kind of German, I guess, it's just like a thematic thing for the movie.
Just to argue against my own point, in Inside Out, it is one girl without multiple personalities. Just all of the emotions are different characters, right? So that's not really the same thing. So
okay,
do we do it again?
Is it just a coincidence then that this is the first Disney movie that has anthropomorphic weapons of war? It's the first Disney movie that has literal blood sucking, and it's the first Disney movie that has a direct reference to multiple personality disorder. It's weird if this is the
line's going to get drawn to Marvel as well with the Scarlet Witch, right?
Right. So they did it first in Planes. It sounds weird to say, but they like all of these themes came up first in Planes.
So it does seem like this was an interesting way just to insert some new themes into the Disney vibe and these kind of, half garbagey looking movies.
Which are catering to like shell-shocked military vets and then grandpa as a shell-shocked military vet. Like these Planes 1 is made for the Operation Iraqi Freedom and Desert Storm crowds. And then Planes 2 is probably made for like the Vietnam, Korea crowds.
Yet they make it explicit. If we want to stick with that Pixar timeline, we're in the far-flung future now, and this world of anthropomorphic vehicles have had another World War II. Like they repeated our history,
Like, but what when you are the weapon of war, wouldn't you make like a plane for you to get inside of? Like, I don't know, or like big mech suits that look like humans again to make it full circle.
That would have been fun.
Like planes inside of a big mech suit that just walks.
Yeah. I should note that these are among the lower rated movies we've covered on this podcast. The first one on Rotten Tomatoes is 26% approval rating.
Yeah, no, I see that.
39 on Metacritic.
These movies are good.
Yeah. The second one, actually, people liked a lot more. Still not that much, but 44 on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like twice as good. And Metacritic 48, a little bit better. So
that's better than Rotten Tomatoes rates some of my legit favorite movies.
Yeah. I think Romeo and Juliet was still lower. So just to throw that one under the bus again. But yeah, this is definitely on the lower ranking of movies. And Cars is still a presence. Planes, I guess it made its money and then mostly got forgotten about. There could be a real nostalgia kick for this with, like Zoomers, right? But
maybe, I mean, again, just showing that these catered to an older audience. Here's one of the jokes or the lines that comes up in Planes 1. They shot Old Yeller at the end, right? And when he says that, I was just thinking, does a kid in 2014, a 12-year-old in 2014, so they're born in like 98 or 99, right? Watching this movie, do they know who Old Yeller is outside of like a Simpsons reference to it? Like Old Yeller Old Yeller was a thing in like the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, I was going to say Fire and Rescue has an extended bit based on the TV show Chips, right, which I thought was great. When I was 3 years old, I watched Chips. So when that came on, that was actually my favorite part of both of these movies, probably, when they show him in his old TV show,
I feel like my theory here, maybe it's not even just a theory, maybe I'm just pointing out the obvious, but I feel like we're just proving it over and over and over again.
Well, yeah, we can. Speaking of Chips parodies, though, actually, it would have been a few years earlier. Do you remember Tim and Eric's Corbs? Which was their weird Chips parody where they're on the reclined bicycle things or whatever. turn a corner with a bunch of thugs there, and they just blow them away. Like in a 1 minute sequence of just shooting them. So that's my favorite Chips parody, but I did enjoy this one as well.
But you're also, I mean, again, how many 12-year-olds in 2014 know what the hell Chips is?
Exactly. I had Chips action figures as a child.
Okay, your day. See, this is like that 3-year gap is really starting to show up right now, man.
Yeah, amazing. Okay. So the second movie, I guess we'll talk a little. Do you want to say anything real specific about the first one? Or,
a couple things. One is that we hear from the mentor. Who does the name John Cleese? Is John Cleese the mentor in this one?
He's in there. Let's see. Was that not Stacey Keach? Yeah, I'm even mixing up.
John Cleese, I think, is like the British.
He's Bulldog, the D. Haviland. Yeah, and then Stacey Keach is the mentor. Oh, so yeah, it says right here on Wiki. Dusty's mentor.
The mentor is basically like hyping up Dusty and making Dusty feel like, oh yeah, kid, I've seen some things. And Dusty's like enamored with this guy because he thinks he's like a war hero. And you find out that he was only in one operation, like you mentioned. And his operation was the assault of Kunming. And if you look this up, this is a legit reference. It was 1941. And it involved this group called the Flying Tigers. And if you look up, they're like some of the
There's a John Wayne movie about that.
And these are one of the cooler looking micro machines, by the way, also dating to like the 80s and 90s. But the Flying Tigers, there was 10 Japanese bombers that approached the Kunming without fighter escorts. And then the American volunteer group that were called the Flying Tigers. This is the very first time that they saw combat action near Kunming. And basically, Japan had been bombing these Chinese cities for years. But then finally, the American Flying Tigers, they start fighting back against the Japanese. So here we have a reference. Before I was like, maybe this is a pro-China movie. That's because this is a reference to like when America was fighting on behalf of China, when they were protecting China from Japan, this like World War I reference. And again, like this is such a deep cut for a movie that seems to be for like 7 and 8-year-olds.
But Grandpa again knows about the John Wayne movie Flying Tigers, which is a pretty good John Wayne movie if you want to watch one of his war movies. So,
I found my other notes on the go-go pills and the no-go pills. So if anyone cares about this, I've found it fascinating. So no-go pills are Restoril, which has a 12-hour restriction on flight operation. Something called Sonata, which has a 4-hour restriction, and Ambien has a 6-hour restriction. And then the go-go pills were amphetamine and modafinil. And both of those are like they call them wakeful drugs. And the reason the amphetamine was banned, it was in 2002, and it's called the Tarnack Farm Incident. This is such a wild read. So if you want to hear about methed up U.S. fighter pilots attacking and killing Canadian allies, look up the Tarnack Farm Incident from 2002.
Well, I do know. I mean, don't really quite know if it's going to make you no-go or go-go sometimes. I remember once I had like intense insomnia, and I think they prescribed Xanax or something, and I took one and it did the opposite of everything it was supposed to do. I couldn't go to sleep. I had restless leg syndrome, and I had more anxiety, which I think it's supposed to do the opposite of all those things.
You just got to take more.
Yeah, take more.
That's what Paracelsus would have done.
There we go. Where was it? You had mentioned that? Sorry, I had something I was going to mention. The Flying Tigers are not military. That's an interesting distinction too, right? He was a civilian plane in that case, as military as possible for a civilian, but still a civilian. So that's an interesting distinction to take from there. 2014 is
stolen valor. Is that what that is?
Kind of, maybe a little bit. Yeah. And then you put John Wayne in there and it looks like reclaimed valor, right? In 1940, whatever it was.
He was a Mason. You can give it to him.
Yeah. But what do they say? He had 30 pounds of stool in his colon when he died or something.
Isn't that was Elvis too?
Probably. Yeah. Elvis had some health issues. 2014. Just because is that peak time of trying to get China down with Hollywood? I think it's kind of like gone back a little bit in the past few years, but there was definitely a time like what Matt Damon goes and makes The Great Wall. Matt Damon's in a big budget movie that's actually a Chinese production, that sort of thing.
Couple of those. I mean, that never stopped though. There was one about
Iron Man 3 plugs in just a
Iron Man 3.
random.
There was
Chinese...
a shark movie called Megalodon 2, I think, that was basically a joint connection. And there was also a movie about the moon being hollow, which was like a total conspiracy movie. And that one, I think, was fully produced by China. And it just starred a bunch of American actors in it. And it had like, Chinese actors working alongside them. And that one was, I want to say, like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it didn't completely end, and I'm sure there's still, attempts
like
made.
What our politicians can't achieve, the Hollywood producers are doing the same thing behind the scenes in their own way. And just like John Cena's doing it in like the wrestling sphere with China, or he was.
Did you have anything else? You said you had a couple of things about Cars one. They just did it. Planes one.
No, we can go fully on to Fire and Rescue 2014 now.
What I do like is at least they tried to make a different movie in this case, which is, they could have been very lazy and have some kind of race thing or something.
Well, Dusty finds out that he's got a problem with his heart and he has to get a pacemaker.
Gearbox.
And he kind of has to retire, right? That's
he's getting too old for this. So, yeah. I was saying we haven't cursed yet on this podcast. Should I bother? And I went for no.
I think maybe a couple have slipped here and there.
Oh no! I mean this particular episode.
Okay, this
had a few slips. I was like,
no, this one's for grandparents and toddlers.
Yeah, let's get the grandparents and toddlers are listening today because that's who Fire and Rescue is for. It is just like in the past year I've like, oh, my joints are getting funny here and there. I wear a knee brace sometimes, so I'm watching this and yep, I'm turning into grandpa mode watching this. All right, I am a great uncle already. Weirdly enough, twice.
And it's wild that this one is the superior movie to the first one, even though it skews even older in terms of who this is kind of speaking to. But it's thematically it's better. I think graphically it's better, although the sound is probably worse. There's way more needle drops in this one, and not in a good way. I don't know if I like any needle drops, but this one sort of tries to really use them. But I guess that plays in if you're just trying to exploit the nostalgia factor, then needle drops are like one of the quickest ways to get there, especially if you can't do smell-o-vision.
I'm looking at the soundtrack, and it looks like they just made a deal with Brad Paisley for this one. Might be part of it.
Who's Brad Paisley?
He's a country artist that plays those Paisley Telecasters sometimes because that's his name. You've seen the Paisley Telecasters? Those are cool. Yeah. They were reissuing those in Japan recently. You get a Stratocaster guitar or a Telecaster that had like blue flowers or pink Paisley or black Paisley or indigo Paisley.
Is country music big in Japan?
Hell no. Vintage guitars are, though, or reissues of vintage guitars are. So,
I guess you can still have a Les Paul and a Gibson and not know where they came from.
Right, exactly. Anyway, Brad Paisley's a pretty major country star, so you might not know who he is, but he's pretty well known. So it looks like they had done a deal with him for the second movie. Let me check the first movie if he's involved in that.
I do
see a
think
music list for the first one.
That you have that it's worth if you're gonna find yourself watching Planes 2 Fire and Rescue with a mouthful. That it's worth watching both of the movies because the first one, it has that military industrial complex feel to it. Like pretty much all the technology driven in the first movie is all military. And then this one, it's all retiree. But the Fire and Rescue part, what they're doing is that they're taking that sharp, rugged, like violent version of the military part. And now they're softening it a little bit. They're smoothing it over with this altruistic use of decommissioned weapons of war, where now an old Apache helicopter that used to be blowing up villages, well, now it's saving someone that got lost in the middle of the woods, or it's helping put out a fire by dumping water on it in the middle of the woods. So it's showing in rapid succession, right? One came out in 2013, the next one came out in 2014. So before the weapons of war can sink all the way in, and the kid starts wondering, like, did Disney just anthropomorphize a weapon of war? They give you a chance to be like, oh, but they're going to be decommissioned and they're going to turn into things that save people. So it's actually good that there's weapons of war that can sing and dance.
I mean, the second movie had to be underway once the first one. They're not even released a year apart. The first one's August 2013, August 9th in the States. The second one is July 18th. It's not a full year.
I could see them doing them both at the same time, knowing exactly that one's going to be for this crowd and one's going to be for the older crowd. Let's go.
I guess so. I'm not I'm looking at production thing, and it's just EPK crap of them saying nothing. So it's not helpful. But yeah, it was just like, we did a year of research on fire and rescue stuff. It's like, okay, sure, why not? You know. Which does mean they had to be doing the research while the first one was in production. So they had. I guess that shows there was some kind of tandem between the two movies.
So the entire plot of this movie is that Dusty, because in the first Planes movie, Dusty is racing and winning these like world-class races. In the second Planes movie, Dusty wants to keep racing, but you mentioned his gearbox is out of production and he basically has to get like this pacemaker. I just had a note here. I had a note. This movie is about a grandpa dying. Like that. As soon as they brought that theme up, it was like that. This movie is going to be about how your grandpa dies.
Yeah, or how you retire and then you do that, volunteer job, or you spend more time in the church now, right?
Or else you're gonna die. That's like the reason why all of these things are happening is because you're old and you're gonna die.
I mean, that's kind of true if you don't keep yourself busy with something, You gotta have a purpose.
So there are some weird story decisions in the rest of this movie. One of the weirdest ones is that they decide to let the airport hangar burn down instead of destroying a water tower, or vice versa. Rather, they'd rather destroy a water tower than let the airport burn down. But it almost seems that it would be infinitely easier to just build a new airport than it would be to construct a new water tower and fill it back up with water. I don't know, because if you're a plane, an airport to you is just a field that you can take off in.
Yeah, I don't have enough engineering knowledge. They did a year of research, so maybe what they did was the smartest course of action. I
guess so. I don't know if I trust their logic, because there's also
you don't have to. Just throwing that out there.
The airport shuts down over a failed inspection. So now the corn festival can't happen. And if the corn festival can't happen, then no one's going to come to town and spur the local economy. So now we're getting back into Cars 1 territory a little bit, where you've got this like forgotten old bumpkin town. And if they don't have a reason for people to go through it, then it slowly starts to decay, right? That's kind of the exact same premise all over again.
Yeah. I a few other things I was thinking. I mentioned the hotel being insanely large. The clubs too. I'm like, the worst clubs feel like a garage, right? You want a nice intimate club. You don't want a big garage club with people line dancing.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the night, doesn't it?
I guess just because I did in high school, the girls at my school would always drag all the guys out to go line dancing, and none of us liked line dancing or country music. Few people dared to ride the mechanical bull, though.
Well, I thought this was Atlanta. Was it like Southern Texas now?
It felt like it. It's up in Roswell, Alpharetta, so that's not quite Atlanta, but yeah. Oh, and the David Koss routine. He's like, yeah, the people who else, oh, we like living up there. It's just white. It's whiter up there. It's more white. So that's Roswell, Alpharetta, basically. At least it was 30 years ago. It might still be. I don't know. I didn't really drive through that part. Oh, here's something just it's a tangent, but having gone back to the States and come back, I did find my mental maps had gotten all shuffled around. Like, I recognized all the places. I'm thinking Roswell again, but I couldn't remember how any of them connected to each other. So it's just an interesting how the
you're not missing out. You're not missing out on anything necessary.
Like, I know every street name, but I don't remember how they connect or anything. So for me, I just have a very good sense of direction. So it was kind of like blowing my mind that I was lost in familiar looking places.
You just Uber everywhere anyways, so who cares?
Yeah, you got my parents' car for some reason they have the console, but they didn't pay the extra for a GPS, which I kept telling them was a terrible decision all week. But yeah,
they would probably like cars too more than or planes too more than planes 1 too.
Yeah, planes too don't need no GPS. The first one did, so yeah. They're just out in the forest. You find the fire, you put some stuff on it, and you go home and drink some go-go juice.
Here's something that seems 2014 maybe was like right on the cusp before everyone was being like extra careful about words and phrases and connotations and stuff.
Is this a coyote story?
I don't know, the coyote story. I was just gonna say that the fact that the Apache helicopter is a Native American and speaks in like a Native American tone and cadence is like a little bit of a chef's kiss of like 2014 things are going to start going overboard. Like, I don't know if you could have made that same joke in 2016 or 2018. And maybe this just because everyone's grandpa is a little bit racist. So now Planes 2 has to be a little bit racist. I don't know.
I'm checking who did the
who did the voice. Who did the voice?
Yeah.
For Planes 2.
There are a lot of voices in this movie, by the way. Oh, and Eric Estrada from Chips did do the voice of the guy that got killed.
It was Terry Hatcher that did the Native American voice.
Yeah. Okay. The first one I was like, you were like, why is Dane Cook top billed? The second one's more insane, by the way. John Ratzberger, as always, even though this is not Pixar. Renee Auberjonois, who is Odo on Deep Space Nine. He is on Benson and lots of other stuff. Brad Paisley did get to voice a pickup truck. Patrick Warburton's here. Seinfeld, The Tick. Hal Holbrook. He's in Barry Corbin. He was on, just tons. Cedric the Entertainer. Jerry Stiller. Fred Willard. It's insane how many people are voicing, like doing 2 lines in this movie. Maybe they just called in a bunch of favors. I don't know.
Because they wanted to make Grandpa proud.
Yeah, I just read that list of people that, most of them aren't A-listers, but there's certainly people you recognize and know, maybe on a name basis. I know Fred Willard when I see him.
I do think that the reference to Chips was kind of ingenious because it was called Chops and it was about like choppers and the chops were the chips. And there was also a Howard the Truck reference. I don't know if you saw it.
Oh, I saw that. I was just too busy typing out Chips. But yeah, I definitely caught that too. Also, I haven't seen Howard the Truck. Yeah, I haven't seen it since the 80s, and I don't remember hating it because I was probably like 8 years old. But
technically, that's a Disney movie now.
Yeah, we go do some Howard Duck. He shows up in the the credit scene of one of the Guardians, I think.
Exactly, because Howard the Duck is Marvel and Disney owns Marvel, so therefore Disney, in some way, probably owns Howard the Duck, and I think that there might be a Howard the Duck remake that's been threatening to come out for like a couple decades now.
I'd probably rather have that than the next 8 Marvel movies they want to give us.
Well, what they don't tell you is that it's going to be Howard the Duck Civil War.
Right. Howard the Duck is at war with himself. I don't know. I don't remember much about Howard the Duck, to be perfectly honest, movie or comic book. That would have to be again, did it along when I was a kid and haven't thought about it much since. Haven't thought about Chips much, but Chips is like Howard the Duck. You're like, what's up with Howard the Duck? Chips is like, okay, it's motorcycle cops. Now they're helicopter cops. Easy, finished. Easy reference. I don't need to remember anything else about Chips.
Again, it caters to that infantile mindset of military, toddlers, and old people.
Vague memories from my distant past. Oh, yeah, that sort of chimes a bell there. And I did look up who did the music halfway through because there was one sting somewhere in there. I was like, that sounds like the Back to the Future theme. And I went to see if Alan Silvestri did the music because he often does reuse his own music in other films a little bit. It is not. It is a ripoff a little bit. Mark Mancina did the music for both films. He did okay. He's got real credits: Speed, Bad Boys, Twister, Training Day. Yeah, he did Brother Bear. Okay. Anyway, he ripped off the Back to the Future theme a bit in this, I thought. Did you catch that? Is that just me?
I just like that now there's a Training Day tie-in to this movie about weapons and methamphetamine.
Yes, we get to tie in Training Day through music. There is a Back to the Future buy a ticket and get the thing, and one of them's like a DeLorean about this big, and there's a talking what's the dog's name? Einstein. You can get the dog, but then there's too much crap like just like towels and hand towels. I'm like, oh, I don't want the hand towels. So I'm just waiting to see if it gets down to where there's only like 5 tickets left and the car is still there. You know, you buy the ticket, then you pull the letter and you get whatever letter you get, right? So I mean, a keychain would be okay, but no, I don't want a hand towel. Planes, I don't want anything. No plane merch, thank you. I mean, I don't know.
I could go with like the Native American Apache helicopter character.
Oh, okay. There's one for you. Let's see. Do I want anything? I want the hippie plane then. What was his name from the first one? I'll take a hippie plane. What was his name again? Star Child. I'll take a Star Child then if I have to take something from this movie.
You know, there was probably some felonies occurring on that plane. Like Jimmy Page was flying around with like questionable bands. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. That does get, in fact, the thing is, Jimmy Page, do we have Jimmy Page planes? I mean, with all the history paying, we're having our wars again. Did we got hippies, you know, we had hippies in cars too with George Carlin or whatever, right? So,
and also in the planes universe, there has to be an anthropomorphized Lolita Express.
Ooh. No, I went the 60s drugged out psychedelic film with cars and planes involved. We'll leave the Lolita Express one for the tabloids. The cars and planes versus tabloids.
I mean, it would be on brand. There's already some pretty close Disney connections, at least in conspiracy lore.
Rosemary's Baby featuring all cars and planes. That'd be cool. He makes a deal with the devil to become a better flyer. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of the plot line, though, right? Like the Dusty cuddles up to the military-industrial complex because he wants to be famous and feel powerful, and they're more than happy to bring him into the fold. And then through you watching the movie, especially if you're 8 years old, you literally are being brought into the fold a little bit.
Okay, you'll have to make the tagline then, is Planes Disney's secret remake of Rosemary's Baby.
There you go, done.
That might be a terrible idea.
We've got the quote, we've got the title.
What else do I have on the second one? The one quote I wrote down from the second one was a bumper kisser. I like that term. I'll probably use in the future. He's a bumper kisser.
There's definitely a version of this that someone left on the cutting room table and they screwed up by doing it. But like, we could have had Planes as grumpy old men, like a Walter Matthau, Jack Lemmon version of Planes. It's already there somewhere in the footage. They could have just edited it that way, and it would have made so much more sense.
Yeah, or the one, what's the Out at Sea? That one's fun too. They could do that one. That wouldn't make sense though, because now they're on a boat.
Grumpy old men movie. Yeah,
yeah. Did they say Boat Reynolds? That was a good one for Grandpa.
Is there a Disney Boats?
I don't think they got to the boats, but you know, give them a few minutes when they want to make some more money. Next time a Cars comes out, it'll get chased by a few boats, probably. You know,
what else is there though? Bikes.
I think boats would come for bikes. Spacecraft. But then you're too up. Then you do that's Buzz Lightyear now, isn't it? So.
Well, then you're real lonely. Like how many? If you're a spacecraft, how many other spacecrafts are you going to see in your lifetime? Like,
yeah, that'd be a really grim Disney movie. Let's see, what else did I think I had one more thing. Oh, my one thought, are there no machine shops to make a gearbox? I mean, it seems like Dusty's in with a lot of mechanics.
No one has the tiny little hands you need. It almost feels like they've got a finite amount of resources before the humans died out, so they have to go with whatever they got to work with.
That could be the case. I was just thinking there, can you at high level things, which Dusty is at, can you machine shop stuff? I don't know. Or everyone's forgotten how to do it. It's like, you know, the whole like fixing a very old computer would be difficult if no one knows how it works anymore. Or
Idiocracy, where you try and feed Gatorade to the crops.
Yeah, exactly. It's what is the tagline that makes them think it's great for that? I don't remember. It's been a little while since I watched it.
Electrolytes.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes. There we go. I knew there was something there. What else you got on Fire and Rescue then?
I think if you want to indoctrinate your kid into joining the military, maybe the Air Force in particular, this is a great 1-2 movie combo. But it also seems like it doesn't have that evergreen feel to it. So every decade that slips by before you decide to watch Planes 1 and 2, the less and less it's going to feel relevant. So I guess in like another 10 years, this really is going to be a movie for like great grandpa.
and actual babies that can't understand the movie at all.
And even then,
will be off to something else.
Cars won't even work the same way. We won't have forest fires. We're gonna transcend that in the next 10 years.
We won't have forest anymore.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I if you don't have a forest, you can't have a forest fire. So
yeah, there we go. Problem solved. But no, I have to admit, I was coming a little bit dreading, like, oh, even with 2 movies, I was like, oh my God, are we going to have anything to talk about? Which we did. We went over an hour. Good for us. So, or you are bored out of your mind if you're still listening and not good for us.
Well, I don't know. The ad revenue still comes in regardless. So whatever.
There we go. Doesn't matter. Who cares?
If it's on brand, you might have even fallen asleep towards the second half of this as we got into Planes 2.
Just waking up now. There we go. So a nice restful movie to take a nap to. There we go. It is Sunday.
Please put your chair and table in upright position.
Yeah, I mean, this movie doesn't make sense in a theater, right? It's just a full napping theater in that case. Kids are sleeping, grandpa's sleeping.
That's literally every theater for me. No matter what movie it is, that is me in every single movie theater.
It's happening more and more. It is happening more and more as I'm turning into grumpy old grandpa.
It's happened when I was like 13 too, though. This has just always been something.
No, I remember the first movie I fell asleep in was The Adventures of Tintin, which was because I went to see it after work and I was just sleepy. But yeah.
Tintin's not among the most action-packed of all animations.
But I'm just saying it's not the movie's fault I fell asleep. It's because I went to the 9:30 showing after a full day of work. So,
well, even if you're on meth, if you fall asleep in Planes 2, I think that it's still the movie's fault.
Okay. If you fall asleep on meth, that makes Fire and Rescue like an amazing no-go pill, right? Well, if people want to eat more go-go pills and no-go pills of conspiracy, I guess where should they go?
Go to paranoidamerican.com, and if you're listening to this, then you can see the video of it on YouTube or Rumble. And if you're watching it, you can go on Spotify and Apple and all the places and get audio of it. And sometimes one of them will come out in audio first, and sometimes one will come out in video first. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just pure chaos, and that's how I like things. So make sure you follow me on all those different platforms. And I also got another series called Under the Docks, where we review old conspiracy documentaries, and we just did Faces of Death for October. The first time
I was about to say there was something you just posted I needed to see.
Have you not seen Faces of Death before?
Oh, I've seen those. I haven't seen You're Under a Dock on it.
Okay, well, so I highly recommend in this order: Planes 1, Faces of Death, and then Planes 2
with the kids.
With the grandkids.
My end, I do other podcasting over at Podcastio, podcasties.org. Time Enough Podcast does The Twilight Zone. We just finished doing the TV show Severance over at Imprisoned in Prison. That's the name of a podcast. Oh, and this is fun. Films and Filth. I think I mentioned before, we're doing the top 100 list of good movies, top 100 list of bad movies. We're at the midpoint. So we're like, why don't we give ourselves a break? So now we're going to do all the Fast and Furious movies, and it's going to have the name changed to Fast Films and Furious Cast for a few months. So
that's you getting a break, is having to watch all the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get back to you how that goes, because I've only seen the first 2. So, oh, and Hobbs and Shaw. I saw Hobbs and Shaw. So, ever see Hobbs and Shaw?
Is that another Fast and Furious movie?
Yeah, it's the one where Vin Diesel and Rock the Dwayne Johnson won't work together anymore. So Rock has to be in a different movie with Jason Statham. And it came out in Japan, at least. It might have been a little earlier in the States, but it came out like January 2020. And the plot is about like a virus that like cannot be released or something. So it's like a bioterrorism movie. And that came out in Japan in January 2020. So That's weird.
Was it predictive programming? Is that what that was?
Maybe. I'll get back to you when I watch it again. I haven't
It's
seen
like
it since
Chronicles of
2020.
Riddick is.
Yeah. So I said all that. Yeah. Okay. Popping a few no-go pills then. Let's end this. Or watching Planes, Fire, and Rescue again. Take your pick.
And all American stickers, cryptids, cults, and killers. We got all your favorite conspiracies, all that and more on our sticker sheets. Paranoid American stickers, they'll make you smile and snicker. False flags and secret societies, all of these and more on our sticker sheets.
Explore the unique with Paranoid American sticker sheets. Unearth tales of cryptids, cults, and mysteries through each sticker. These won't last long. Get yours now at paranoidamerican.com.
We're all American stickers, cryptids, cults, and killers. We got all your favorite conspiracies, all that and more on our sticker sheets. Paranoid American stickers, they'll make you smile and snicker. False flags and secret societies, all of these and more on our sticker sheets.
What the heck are you waiting for? Discover the extraordinary with Paranoid American sticker sheets. From cryptids in the night to cults out of sight, each sticker is a unique find. Get yours now at paranoidamerican.com.
Paranoid. Yo. I scribble my life away, driven to write the page. Will it enlighten your brain? Give you the flight, my plane, paper the highs ablaze. Somewhat of an amazing feel when it's real to real. You will engage it. Your favorite, of course, the Lord of an arrangement. I gave you the proper results to hit the pavement. If they get emotional, hey, maybe your language, a game, how they playing it well without Lakers. Evade them, whatever the cost, they are the shapeshift. Snakes get decapitated, met is the apex. Execution of flame you out, nuclear bomb distributed at war, rather gruesome for eyes to see. Max them out, then I light my trees. Blow it off in the face, you're despising me for what though? Calculated and rather cutthroat. Paranoid American must be all the blood smoke for real. Lord, give me a day away, vacate. They wait around to hate whatever they say. Matters not in the least bit. We get heavy rotate when a beat hits, so thank us, you're welcome. Fuck the niggas for real, you're welcome. They ain't never had a deal, you're welcome. Man, they lacking appeal, you're welcome. Yet they doing it still, you're welcome.